right, if you have a hard time, navigating through the market and trying to, figure out where the direction of the market is going, especially in this new, market, very volatile. One day Trump can say this, and the market can move any direction. So I'm here to help you make smart decision and better make better trade smart into next trading week. So welcome to another market breakdown. Right now we are looking at DXY. So the reason why I always look at DXY first because obviously I trade yen, and if I can understand what the US dollar is doing, that can help me understand what DXY is doing, and as well, let me understand the kind of environment we are in too. So let's look at the weekly time frame. So on a weekly time frame, we can see that we're still kind of in this transition phase, right? Where price, kind of still trying to figure out what it want to do next, right? So right now, we're actually, let's kind of look at this from a bigger perspective right now. From a bigger perspective, we're actually at a monthly, order block, right? Let me do this real quick. So you can see when I'm talking about the monthly order block. Let me change this real quick. I can't even. Let me move this. Alright, let's go to the monthly real quick. So if we look at here, right, we can see that on this monthly time frame. Now I don't really we can see on the monthly time frame, we can see how this low was taken out, right? And then you have the last down candle that took out this low from this quarter right here. And you can see eventually price took out this level. So this is considered a order block. So this is a monthly order block right now. So this is an area where price can react off of, right? And then if we kind of go back from a quarterly standpoint, let's go back to that real quick, switch back to this. We kind of go back from a quarterly standpoint. We also can see how on the previous quarter we actually closed bullish. So we're still kind of in that range where price, is underneath this resistance and where price, kind of can, easily push down lower, right? So what I'm expecting is if price can, make some kind of reaction off of this level right here and we can get above here, then at that point this become a resistance to a support and we can start seeing price start pushing up, higher. Now right now for this current week, let's kind of look at that now. For this current week, we can see how price, closed bearish the previous week. So right now I am bearish on DXY for this week right here, only because if we look here, we on this candle here, we had a high, a fell high of this candle here. Let's kind of zoom in closer. So we had a fell high of this candle here, right? And then a lower low, and you can see how price made a lower high because lower than the previous high, followed by another lower low, breaking this previous week low in this candle. So that's a clear sign that we are still in a bearish direction, right? So for this week, I am overall bearish. So what that means is it doesn't mean that there won't be no buy opportunities. It just means that on DXY, I'm bearish. So what that means for pairs like yen, I'm bullish. I mean, I'm looking for only buy opportunities. So now, but I can say this: if this week we end up closing bullish, and let's say for some reason it don't close bearish, and we end up closing bullish because we are on this monthly order block level, and price can react off of this, then in that case, then yeah, I'll be switching my bias for that next week to be bullish. But for right now, I'm on the bearish side until this switch bullish. And then if we go to the daily time frame, we can see how price is slowly reacting off of this level right here. So we can see how even on a daily, we still bearish no matter what. If we kind of switch this right here, you can kind of see how price came down, made it fell high, and just kind of dropped below, right? Now we do have this kind of little gap right here where gap price is open and shot back. So price never really filled this whole gap completely, right? But price will have to pretty much break, above this to start really transitioning to start pushing up. But even from a weekly perspective, if we look at this right here, now to put it all together, right? So this is right here. So you can see this is that monthly order block I was telling you about on the higher time frame. You can see how We start this transition, start slowly, and you see how on the opening right here, we just kind of made a little small little gap. So what these levels is I'm expecting for price to retrace. So that means at any point price can push to the highest of this level right here and then drop back down, which is still part of this overall gap. So at any one of these levels, these is where I'll be looking uh for DXY to push into and then kind of make a clear breaking structure or some type of candle reaction and start dropping back lower, right? Now I can say this, it goes back to what I was saying. If price, because now if price, let's say price can drop down, right? Price can, push down here, right? But then close up and start pushing up and closing still bullish within this candle or above this candle, then that'd be a clear indication for next week to be bullish. But like I said, for this week, we're bearish until that transition change, right? Not gonna really overthink it. We're gonna keep it simple. So since I am bearish on DXY, that means for EU, I am bullish on EU. I'm not gonna really go into too much details of EU because it's really just the opposite of. That's why I just marked this. Yeah, but anyways, it's just the opposite of DXY. So since my bias is already set on DXY, then I know on EU I'm bullish here. So that means I'm expecting for DXY. I'm dang, I don't forgot. I'm bearish on DXY, which is me. I'm bullish on EU. So therefore, I expect price to retrace down at a certain percentage, and then start going back up higher. But if we end up closing below this point and closing here, right? Because if you look at it from a bigger perspective, right now we're just kind of right on this. Let's kind of go here real quick. From a bigger perspective, we're kind of actually, let's go to the monthly so you can kind of see the bigger scope of what I'm looking at. So you can kind of see here from a monthly perspective, you can see here in the past, price at some point was pushing up and then broke below here, which was at a resistance, right? And then since then we kind of came down and made a clear breaking structure. We kind of in between this range of this support area and kind of getting close back up to where price was dropped from. So these are major key levels. Now if we kind of break it back down to where we're at currently, then we can kind of see when a clear uptrend, we can see that price did close bullish, but we also know that from the previous quarter we can see that we are on the support level, like I've been saying. On this quarter here, we broke up, made a clear push, so we really in between this range of this previous quarter. So you can see our price kind of really just been a choppy range. So we can see every time it kind of came here, we've been dropping. So that's why I got a kind of a clear area of resistance, because every time it came into this area, price reacting. So right now we kind of right back into that area of where price reacting. So that's going to be kind of interesting, which is why I kind of got it set to where, okay, hey, look, kind of bring it back to this. Go back to the 4 hour. Now y'all kind of see the bigger picture of what I'm looking at. When we look at the 4 hour, we can see that on this 4 hour, we can see that if price break below, so we have a 4 hour, but we have the weekly overall candle still showing. So if price can break below here and close below, then I know for next week it can be bearish. But for right now, I'm gonna stick to the bullish. So, but it's just what this tells me is if it can't break below here, right, and it starts showing signs of breaking structure, we can start seeing price push up higher again. So overall, I'm bullish on EU. Then we got UJ. I am bearish on UJ because only I'm bearish on UJ because I'm bearish on DXY. Now I can say this. So these are my quarterly levels right here for this quarter right here. We are at an area where price can push up. At the same time, it can push into these resistance levels for this current week, right? So you can see here that price kind of really being a nice little, really just kind of swinging down real hard, swinging up real hard, swinging back down real hard. So you can kind of see the pattern that it's showing. So could we be going more deeper? We could. I don't really know. It just really depends on what DXY do. But for right now, I am on the bearish side, so it could go deeper and we could react. We already tap into our second quarterly resistance level, so it can push up from here. For those who understand that what I'm talking about, let's go to the daily real quick. So on the daily, right, if we look at this and this focus right now on the previous quarter, so y'all probably wonder where I'm getting these levels from. So in the previous quarter, we closed bullish, right? No matter what, we're still bullish because we kind of zoom out of this. You can see how price made this low here. Zoom out. So you can see how price made, we had this low of this quarter level candle, and we had this high of this candle. And you can see on this quarterly candle that, or you can say 3-month candle, this low was, higher than this previous low, and then we made a higher high. So that shows that we're still bullish. So what that tells me is that I expect price to retrace down like how it did, and then kind of reverse back up. So that's kind of what we're seeing. So that's why I say at any point, this can push up. So if we end up closing bullish, so it goes back to DXY, same kind of concept. If DXY, if we end up closing bullish above this right here, then that's telling me, okay, hey, look, for this week, at least break above this area or maybe this high here, then I know for next week we can be, pushing up. But right now, so it's kind of interesting as you kind of, when you look at your higher time frame and then you kind of look at the current present. So, but right now I'm bearish until DXY change. But I would keep in mind of my higher time frame perspective because we're digging deeper into my higher time frame levels while still staying in line with my, weekly perspective. So let's go to, I know it's going to be a long video, I can already tell. Then we got yen. So yen, obviously, I am bullish on yen. So we can see how we close bullish here. Same concept, just opposite. So you can see how we closed bullish the previous week. So I expect price to, at least, retrace down to one of these levels and then show me some type of breaking structure to see price start going back up higher. And let's go to gold real quick. So you can see we did close bullish the previous week, like I figured, for those who watched last week market breakdown. So I'm expecting the same thing for this week, for price to retrace down to this level. We are at the first level, and I want to see a nice breaking structure, and then that'd be a nice buy opportunity to continue to see it go up, at least, especially, getting close back to the 5,000 level too. So, and then yields, I didn't really mark yields, but I need to push it at least forward. So I don't trade yields, but what yields let me know is we are pushing down, right? And I do expect yields to be bearish again this week because we've been bearish past three weeks. So if yields continue to push down, I actually favor gold more because when yields is going down, gold is going up, and when yields is going up, gold is going down. So that's what the VIX look like. So the VIX actually did shot back down to 17, which is good. That means pressure is easing off. And then we have oil. Oil's been going down, so that's good. Oil's been dropping, so that's see what S&P. S&P, you can see this skyrocket back up pretty much. So I'm continuing being bullish on S&P until that change again as well too. We are overbought, so because we are overbought, this could be a bearish week, but it could just be a bearish week of price retracing back down to continue back up higher. So that could be just price coming back into, for example, so if we are bearish, it could be prices kind of being overall for this range, and then going back to the next week, we can see price go bullish, or we can just retrace down a little bit and just flip off rip and then continue pushing up. So that's my breakdown for this week. And as always, the goal is not to try to avoid losses or try to catch home runs. It's about surviving long enough to be able to be profitable. So other than that, I'll see you next market breakdown. Peace.